Definitely have to do some modding here to get these guys out of the way. Definitely that one, definitely that one. Go ahead and get those guys out of the way and see if it fits. And if not, we'll figure something else out. So if that doesn't fit, we'll have to rework the plan. Oh, okay, we still need to take the disk drive off of here. I think that's actually where we're getting stuck. There's these little nubs that stick down. So we're hitting the case. Let's pull those guys out, and still haven't figured out if there's anything I can do with those memory card slots. If you guys have any ideas, comment section, let me know. Alright, and there's our disk drive. Not really, but why does it stick out more back here? A couple of nubs underneath for alignment, so we're gonna have to break that little nub off, which is fine because I think all of that's coming out anyway when we get to that point. Okay, we're sitting flat. Beautiful. And this will just stick up here, plug the other side in. And then that'll go to the controller ports right here. Right here. And basically this will just be player 1 and 2, like right there. See? We got this all figured out. So next thing to do is actually figure out the pinouts here, break some traces, do some soldering. So basically what our controller pinout looks like is you got your controller port from the front. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins, and I'm doing it backwards. So 3 is going to be ground. 1 is going to be our yellow or data. 2 is going to be our brown data, and then pin 4 is going to be your plus 5 volts. And these are no connection and no connection. Got all that? No. So there's our pinout. So now we need to make that happen over here. So for some reason, when I put power, or I put the voltmeter on the ground and pin through 1. So pin 1 and ground actually turns on the LED for some reason. Did I wire that? Did I do that wrong? Unless that doesn't directly translate here. Yeah, that's our pin we called data. Alright, we're gonna ask the internet. BRB. So I found this picture, and I'll try and find a link for it, stick in the description, but it actually has a picture of the board and what all these things do. So yeah, okay, so that one that I was saying is 5 volt is actually a 3.3 volt logic supply, which is the actual voltage that the controller uses. I was right, that is ground. Our brown wire is the 3.43 volt bidirectional data line. So brown's actually the only data wire, and then yellow is actually 5 volts. 5 volts, and then the other 2 are grounds. Well, that's cool. We actually have the pin out for the board here, so I don't think there's any actual logic circuits on this board. We might be able to just use these traces here with this pin out. Yeah, that'll give us the reset switch too without having to break any traces. So if we drop 5 volts on this pin, it turns the LED on. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, we have a slight change of plan. We're actually not going to solder directly to the pads here. We're going to take advantage of the fact that it has this 14 pin pad down here. And then we have the pin out for it. So I checked this battery pin on 13. It should actually show me a voltage. Drop over to 20 volt. So here in here. Yep, 3 volt. There's our battery. I don't know that we can take advantage of it having the battery on it or not, but we might. I do, however, need to find my desoldering braid before we can do that. We're basically doing the same plan, except we're going to wire here where we have these nice fat solder pads, instead of back here where we have to break traces. That'll also allow us to add a second set of controllers in the future if we need to, although I don't actually plan to. We're just going to be using 1 and 2. And the reset switch. And the reset, I think, is just a momentary, normally open. So reset is 12. 12 that shorts to ground. Sorry, attention span. So one of the reasons I don't like using pre-made pads like that is if you look right here, can't you see a little? This trace is not attached to the board anymore. So we're going to have to be really careful with that guy. So we need to figure out what trace that is, and if we care. It's 8 that's loose. Put my phone up. 8 is going to be player 2, pen 2. So we actually do care about that. That's the actual data line for player 2. Good thing is, if that is actually not usable, we can just go to the back of the header. We can just go directly to the board for that. That's not a big deal. So yellow actually goes together on that first pin. So we're just going to put the 2 together and stick it on that pin. And those are all connected. So as long as we get one of the 2 hooked up, it's fine. If we mess up the trace, we've got plenty of other places to attach it, that it'll still work just fine. So that's good. It's something at least. Really worried about these traces just like ripping off the board, so it is actually a possibility. So we're just going to twist these 2 together and then tin it and then tack it to the board. This is also going to turn on the LED when the system's turned on, so that's pretty cool. I've heard that the 5 volt on the controller is just there so that the rumble pack can have some extra oomph to it, because it needed more amperage to vibrate with the 2 on it instead of the 1 like the N64 had. Because the pinout's the same electrically as the N64 controller, except that the GameCube has this 5 volt line. Should probably go ahead and get that pad tinned up. You guys still see? Yeah, kinda. And it's hard to see sometimes. So. The other problem is we're using a pad that wasn't meant to be point-to-point soldered to. Sometimes that can be problematic. Okay, looks good. As long as it's not touching the pin beside it and shorting out to ground, which would be a horrible, horrible thing once we put power on it. The next one is the same as the pin 6, which is the one I called pin 4. Red. Probably ought to warm the hot glue gun up, because we're probably just going to hot glue this on after we're done, so it's harder to mess up. So I feel kind of dumb because I made a lot of assumptions when we were doing this, and I would have actually color coded this the other way around had I realized that we had 1 data line and 2 power lines instead of 1 power line and 2 data lines. But live and learn. I was trying to do this without doing research or looking at other people's research. The grounds, I'm probably going to stick 1 on the pad that says ground and stick the other one to one of these massive ground pads, just because that'll be a definitely easier thing to stick to, just in case. And that's going to be pin 6. Let's make sure before we start attaching things. So this guy also has a nice fat solder pad over here if something happens to the trace, so that's good too. Yep. Well, that's bad. So I managed to fix our mistake. So what happened was there was too much solder between the between the pad itself and the join here. So when I hit pad 6, it also spread over onto pad 5, which is player 3 pin 2. So I had to go through and remove all that solder, and in the process we actually knocked off the pad 8, that one that was just kind of dangling. Let's see if I can find it on the table here. I think that's it right there. There it is. Just chilling on my finger. So once it's off, there's nothing you can do about it. So we're gonna have to do a workaround for that pin. Whatever. Not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. Also need to make sure that we don't have any existing short circuits. Okay, so we're actually gonna need a magnifying glass for this. Okay, I see there's one little bitty solder trace right between the two. Yay. So because of how badly that went, we're gonna actually go for a different pad. It's this guy right here, this massive solder pad right here. That's the same connection electrically. So we're gonna come up here, we gotta make sure we get above the solder line here, because that's actually, oh right. Okay, so we can't actually go across that physically. So let's just go there, because that's out of that zone. Okay. I'll explain that more in a minute. I'll just do it now. So these little pads here are where it connects ground to the console, and that's done through these little guys right here. So these mount on the front and they push against here to give you resistance when you're inserting and removing controllers, so it pushes hard against it. So there's actually be a physical thing sticking off here, so we can't just go across that. So instead, we're just going to use the pin 6 of controller port 2 because all the pin 6s are connected. Again, we're going to hot glue over the back of that. Not really a big deal. Okay, the brown one is the one that actually matters probably the most, because that's our actual data for each controller. So this one's player 1. It's literally the most important. And after that last mishap, I'm not going to bother with that pad anymore. We're just going straight to the... Oh, I can't though. I can't reach it. That bending these other wires really bad. It was going to be fun. At least it's small. That's what she said. Alright, make sure we're not short-circuiting again and do something else. Go with plan B, which was originally plan A. We're going to need a jumper to do it. So, yeah, going to that pad, we're just not going to do that anymore. Because that, it's too small for the equipment that I have, which is this really terrible soldering iron from Walmart with a very old used tip on it. I just can't get in there precise enough to actually do anything. Another weird big solder pad over there. We're just going to take advantage of that and jump onto that guy. I just had a jumper wire, didn't I? Okay. Grab a new piece of heat shrink for this, because I'm going to do this properly. Like we ever do things properly here. Whee! I know you guys couldn't see that, but I was dangling my soldering iron by its cable to untangle it. Ow. That wire got really, really hot. Really, really fast. Nice strong connection there. Cut a little bit of wire off here for filler. And then we hit it with the blowtorch. Much better. And we should do the same thing. Rinse and repeat. Ow. I just palmed my soldering iron. It smells like flesh in here now. It's probably gonna hurt a little bit. Problem is, this one's dead center in the middle here. You only really get one shot at it because it's like the most important pin on this port. So what we're gonna do is nip this down a little shorter. Try to go in like an L shape. That way we can just drop it on top and tap it in. I'm gonna add a little more solder to the top of this guy real quick because it's not really enough to do this. Man, good job. Short that out to pin 5. Alright, so we're gonna check for crossovers here. I'm pretty sure I got one right here. No? Nope. 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 It's so close. But it's not broken, so cool. So what are some good 2-player games on the GameCube that we can try out once we get this guy up and running? Because I need to make sure player 2 controller port works. Okay, suggestions? Let me know. Ow, 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 ow. Okay. Okay, and these just need to go to ground. That one actually kind of fits there already, so probably pull it up to there. And these guys I'm just going to tack to random ground points to get it done, because I'm really tired and I want to go eat lunch because I'm hungry. And I just burned the back of my, look at that, burned a hole in the back of my desoldering pump that I've been using for a million years. Alright, also, apparently my memory card's almost full. I got 2 minutes of time left, so let's do this fast. And then, of course, you add some hot glue on the back of each of these cables so they don't move. Ow, 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 ow. Alright, so I'd like to do a proper wrap up here. We actually ran out of footage there. I'm on my internal memory, which has 3 minutes of recording time, so no proper outro. But let's go do it for now. We got all the hot glue stream reliefs put in, so all the controller stuff is done. Anyway, hit the like button, get subscribed. See you in the next one.